Welcome to the Embodied Revolution show with your host, Lora Coleman, founder of Embodied Revolution. This is a safe space to connect, grow, and rise into your highest embodiment with authentic identity. Twice a month, we dive deep into inspiring conversations, grounded strategies, and real life stories from women making bold moves aligned with their soul's purpose. So get ready for wisdom you can live, mindsets that transform, and the evidence that you too can rise stronger, wiser, and more in tune with your purpose. This is more than a show, it's a movement. Welcome to the Embodied Revolution. Hey everyone, I'm Lora Coleman, and I'm so happy you could join us for Embodied Revolution. It's easy to think about our embodiment, practice our embodiment on our normal day life, and to bring that to the forefront most of the time. But what about when the unexpected happens, when we are faced with great misfortune? What about when our life changes like that? My upcoming speaker is shaking up the mindset world by focusing on bad days. Yes, you heard that right. Bad days. Why? Because in doing so, we create a space that validates feelings, that lets us face what is the human side of us in order to cope the best that we can in all of our days, all of our moods, all of the things that life can throw our way. Because sometimes things aren't so easily fixable per se, but it's about what we can do to embody the type of person that we want to be given those circumstances. Embodying our best and knowing that our best looks different on different days and in different situations. This speaker makes us question what resiliency really looks like and reminds us that sometimes it's not about jumping to the positivity. And that's what's really important about embodiment, is that embodiment looks different in different stories, but it's something that nobody can take away from you. So join me as I embrace Eleanor Shell's story after suffering a traumatic brain injury and her journey to reclaiming all of her days. Welcome to the Embodied Revolution show with your host, Lora Coleman, founder of Embodied Revolution. This is a safe space to connect, grow, and rise into your highest embodiment with authentic identity. Twice a month, we dive deep into inspiring conversations, grounded strategies, and real life stories from women making bold moves aligned with their soul's purpose. So get ready for wisdom you can live, mindsets that transform, and the evidence that you too can rise stronger, wiser, and more in tune with your purpose. This is more than a show, it's a movement. Welcome to the Embodied Revolution. Hey everybody, welcome back to Embodied Revolution. Today we have Eleanor Shell, and she's going to be telling us her story about something that happened to her and how she kept her embodiment through that experience. And I don't want to say too much because I do want Eleanor to tell us from her own perspective.
So about 18 months ago, I was walking into a doctor's appointment with my daughter and was hit by a vehicle. And luckily, mom's strength and all of that is real. And I pushed the stroller far enough out of the way that my daughter was fine. She was 7 months at the time. Did not know that, obviously, until much later in the day. But I sustained a traumatic brain injury because of the accident. And so for 18 months now, I've been on this journey of figuring out what life means post brain injury. At the time, it's funny because the medical community has actually reframed how they label brain injuries in the past 6 months. So at the time, you would have a mild, moderate, or severe brain injury. And a mild is what would be commonly called as a concussion. So I was considered a mild brain injury because I did not lose consciousness for more than a half hour. But as I have journeyed along, and then I'm lucky because the medical community has caught up with brain injuries. My injury is anything but mild, because here I am 18 months later and still cannot work and cannot care for my children by myself for an extended period of time. And still having to do daily exercises, and have had a headache since June 12th of last year of some level. And what the medical community, when I say they've caught up, they actually, there were articles released this summer, and doctors started noticing sometimes they would have patients that were in comas for 10 or 15 days and wake up and had no long-term effects. And then there are people like me who their initial, looked like the initial impact was going to be small, and their lives are never the same again. So that's why the medical community, you cannot tell until months after an injury, no matter what the severity of it is, what the impact is going to be when you're dealing with the brain.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. So a lot of people are probably wondering that, for me, you do seem very well spoken. So can you explain what were the impacts that you're talking about that was so much drastically different after this brain injury?
So that's very common with brain injuries. It's considered an invisible injury because I can present and look fine for an hour or so. I get about 2.5 good hours every day. So in preparation for this, recording this, I've rested most of the day today, was in a kind of a dark, calm, quiet room most of the day, so that my brain was as much at baseline as it can. I do have a tingling headache going on right here. Right ear feels clogged. So one of the things about women's brain injuries is they actually do what they call bloom. And so a lot of times women don't show symptoms right away. And it can be up to 14 days when women have maximum injury. Or maximum symptoms. And so when I was at 14 days, I was dizzy all the time. My neck, until this summer, I could not put my neck up or down. My neck was very stiff, because when you have an impact to your brain, your body says, oh, I got to protect that. And so everything seizes up, and then it releases, and then you lose all your muscle tone. I had, the headache pain. There's a lot of your brain chemistry changes. And I had really awful depression. I mean, I'd never experienced depression like that, but and I had 3 beautiful children. I had every reason in the world to wake up, but last fall, and it still comes and goes. It's I've never been suicidal, but it's been dark, which are very common. And then as far as ongoing and long-term, I just had cognitive testing about a month ago because I didn't want to know what was wrong with my brain. Because my brain's kind of been my thing. I've always kind of been smart and able to figure things out and quick on my feet. And I'm so glad I did it. And I wish I'd done it sooner, because what it revealed is I'm still smart. I'm still articulate. I still know history facts. Remember things I learned in school. But the way my brain functions is different. I have no short-term memory. So you and I can be talking right now, and I can say, oh, when we get off, I'll send you an email to connect you to so-and-so. And if I don't write it down and you don't send me an email back, it may be 2 weeks before I think, oh, wait, I told her that. I also, my executive function is slower. It's hard for me to deal with details. It's hard for me to change quickly. And then another big part of it that affects your brain is it has to do with your vision and how your brain talks, how your brain processes information. So I always feel like I'm always in fight or flight mode. And so as I'm seeing stuff, first of all, if I see anything on my peripheral vision, I can get real jumpy. And then the other thing is clutter or chaos just, it can shut me down. And one of the things I've said in this journey is, it's the injuries kind of amplified my weaknesses, because I was a little ADD beforehand. And now it's like, like when I did my cognitive testing, one of the tests I didn't even test valid because I was so distracted. And ADD affects executive function and that sort of stuff. So I feel like in some ways it's taken away, or it amplified my weaknesses. And then it's taken away some of the things I was really good at, because I used to be really good at. I ran an event for 20,000 people here in Charlotte, and I showed up one day and the porta johns were in the wrong place. And I was able in 20 minutes to get 120 porta johns moved. Now, if I take a wrong turn, sometimes have to pull in a parking lot and completely reset my body and my mind to keep going.
Wow. Do you have any strategies and methods that you use specifically to recalibrate your body?
So, yes and no. So I'm just now starting the cognitive therapy that's going to teach me more kind of skills like that. I do a lot of grounding exercises when I'm in situations that are stressful. I actually have a yoga bag that's filled with sand that I keep in my car. And sometimes if I'm getting stressed in the car, so if I can put that on my legs, and it kind of helps ground me. Obviously, breathing is very important. I keep peppermints. Peppermints or ginger, that taste and textile. I am not afraid to say, okay, I got to close my eyes for a few minutes. Obviously not while I'm driving, but in busy situations. I have some really cool beats by Kim Kardashian that are soundproof, that noise canceling, that I often wear in places like the grocery store. So I like to pretend like I look cool, like I'm an NFL player or a movie star. I have those kind of like emergency in the situation grounding techniques. And then to kind of start my day, and then throughout my day, start my day every morning try to start it with a 45-minute walk outside. And that kind of does something to your nervous system. So the doctors say, I don't know exactly, I'm not a medical person. And yoga. And then my physical therapist specializes in this breathing technique called Eldoa.
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to tell you about what it is or what the science is behind it, but I know it works. So you Google Eldoa and find it. But that's been a game changer, the Eldoa.
Okay. So it sounds like a lot of nervous system work,
Yes.
which is like, is that new to your world right now?
It's so new to my world. Like, I mean, to kind of my life before the accident, I guess to kind of give you an idea. So I had 3 kids under the age of 7, or at 6 at the time. And I did not have a nanny. We did not have daycare. They went to part-time preschool. My oldest was in kindergarten. I was an independent consultant contractor for a charter school, for part-time pastor at a church. I had several other smaller clients. I was the primary cook in my house. I was the primary entertainment person in the summer. It was summertime. So like I had this whole summer planned of, we're going to the pool this day and we're going to the zoo this day and we're doing, and I went from that to, I rarely am gone from my house for more than 4 or 5 hours at a time.
Wow. So yeah, that's a lot of readjusting for the family, for you, like going busy to, your normal now. What is your advice for people who may be also going through some kind of change where it's like a big adjustment? Have you found anything that, if you could tell somebody one thing, what would it be for them? Like what has helped you the most?
So the first thing, and this is kind of what I feel like is my mission in life right now, is spreading the word about, is it's okay to have a bad day. And it's okay to sit in the bad day and not immediately jump to hope, which may sound negative to some people because we live in a world of toxic positivity. Is my new word. But only in doing that can you truly move forward.
Right.
You know, I really struggle. And I know people really struggle. And before the accident, like I said, I was a part-time pastor. I'd been a full-time pastor in the past, and it's hard to sit with people who are facing life-changing, whether it's a single day like mine, which was an accident, whether it's the loss of someone, whether it's going to be an ongoing battle with a diagnosis of cancer or multiple sclerosis or something. It's hard to sit in that hard time with someone. But honestly, 90% of the time, that's probably all they need is someone to sit next to them.
Yes.
They know all that. They know, like, I know things are going to be okay. I know I'm lucky to be alive. I know that I'm lucky that I can sit and have a conversation like you, like this. I know I'm lucky that I don't look sick. I know that if I keep working, I'm going to keep seeing improvement. The person knows all that. I guarantee you, anyone facing something really hard knows all that. What they want to know and what they need to feel is that they're not alone, and that you see the reality of where they are.
Right.
You know, I joke about, and who knows, I may actually make them one day about making greeting cards. And my one dream is to have this greeting card and it has a storm on it. And there are two people with an umbrella that's kind of small. And on the outside of the card, it says, wow, the storm is really big. And on the inside, it says, my umbrella is not big enough, but I'll get wet with you. Because no one can fix this. I can't, my spouse can't, nothing. But people can walk beside us, and people can have faith when we don't have faith for us. People can see our struggles. Like, and honestly, we find a lot of humor in some of it. So I think that's, you know, I mean, we're lucky for that. Like, yes. So one of the things when you have a brain injury that's really hard to get back is cooking. And cooking was my thing. Like I had made all my kids birthday cakes from scratch, like not from a box, like scratch.
Yeah.
And like yesterday we were trying something new. We're like, okay, we're going to cook the meal at lunchtime instead of dinner, and put in and it was kind of a meal kit thing from a local grocery store. And the chicken was about ready to be done. All I had to do was make the spaghetti. So fill the pot up, put water on, put the spaghetti in. The spaghetti caught on fire, like flames.
No water.
And I'm like, who even knew spaghetti catch on fire? Like, yeah. And so I think I took a picture and I posted. I was like, well, still can't cook. You know, it's like, and it's funny because, you know, some people responded with, oh, it'll get better. Oh, I've had that happen before too. But what was most comforting to me was like, well, yep, you can't cook today. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't need someone to say, well, you can learn again. And I know all that. But right now it's kind of frustrating that I can't cook for my kids when I've cooked for hundreds of people throughout my life. Like, I mean, one of the things when I was in college, like that was I would cook big meals for friends and organizations and that sort of stuff. And to have had that gift that I shared with the world. And now I have these three people that are my world. You know, it's a little disheartening sometimes. And sometimes I just need people to say, yeah, I bet that is hard.
Yeah, this is like such a powerful message that you're spreading, because I do think it's natural for us to want to say something that is comforting, that we have been programmed that a good person is going to try to cheer people on, say something positive. So I think it's a very important message that you're saying, that you technically like don't always want that sometimes, and you just want, to me, it's like a sense of, yeah, or I'm there for you, or I agree with you. So is that something you would like to do, is to maybe be a person that other women that are going through something can talk to, or is that in the cards for you? Like, what are your next moves?
So that's been interesting, because honestly, this summer, that's what I thought. I thought, oh, I want to become a coach, and I want to help women, like especially high functioning women who have something in their lives that causes them to be the person who needs care, or the person who has to step back, or the person, because we don't know how to do this. Like, what do women do? We hold it all together. I mean, there's a whole, the fair play movement. It's all about how women hold all the cards of all the responsible things and keep it together. And, and so I started a coaching class, and I had 2 clients and I love my clients. I miss them. But, with my brain injury, like, I can't do that. Like, cause I can't consistently show up to people.
Yeah, that's a lot of
And I thought, I can't be the one that's there. So what I'm trying to do, and what seems to be, I've actually had a really good week with it. So I'm kind of like, oh, this really may be something. So I started writing. I kind of created what I'm calling the resiliency arc. I don't know if that's what it will say or not, but it came from really processing my grief. I really thought, I was doing a program in February that all the NFL players and NASCAR players who have brain injuries do out of the University of Pittsburgh. And I thought I was going to go to Pittsburgh and I was going to do this program for 12 weeks. And then I was going to be fine. I was going to have this great story about resiliency and working hard and not giving up. And, everything ties up in a neat bow. And I did that program, and I got much better, between 60 to 70%, I would say, on most days. And that was it. And part of it is, guess what? I'm not 26-year-old athlete, and that wasn't my full-time job to get better. And, when I talked to had the follow-up, I really thought they were going to be mad at me and say, oh, you didn't do the program right. And they're like, no, you're not a 26-year-old professional athlete, and you have 3 kids. And like, while I was doing the protocol, my kids had the stomach bug for 3 days. And so, I'm not getting out of it someone who that's their job. And that was really hard. And so this summer I was really processing, like, okay, what really is resiliency? What really is, what's the point of it? How do you get through it? And so that's where I came up with this resiliency arc. And to me, the first day, which is what I just talked about, is the first thing is the bad day. Like, how do you sit in a bad day? How do you sit with someone in a bad day? Why is naming what is bad important? And so I launched the Substack a few weeks ago, and with an 8-week series on bad days. And I know there were people who were like, she's going to write about bad days for 8 weeks. Like, can we move on to the whole? Because that's what we want to do. But what I'm finding, like, it's really resonating with people, because I think we have lived in a world lately of, the kind of the toxic, everything's got to be okay, and we got to look to hope and that sort of stuff. But we weren't always like that. I mean, back when my grandmother was little, like, she talked about, like, when someone died, like, the widow was expected to wear black for a whole year. So people could respond to her as someone who was mourning. I had a death in my family of my grandmother when I was in grad school, and my boss at the time said, well, my mother died and I only took 1 day off.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I wanted 2 weeks. I took 2 weeks because my grandmother was in Florida, and she was like one of my people, So I think people are ready for this kind of realness and authenticity. And so what I'm doing is, I've got the writing going, and then I've actually written some journals that I'm trying to figure out how to get published. I'm not a business person. I wasn't one before. Actually, I'm definitely not one now. But I have great friends who are trying to help me. But like, I have this, and it's weird to say I wrote a journal, but I have this journal that I've created called the Bad Day Journal. And there's not one inspirational quote in it. And there's 2 pages. And because you don't need 365 bad days, but there are 60 pages where if you just need to have a bad day and just sit in it and just be like, this sucks, you can go to that and you can do it. And you don't have to worry about when the rainbows come in or how it's all going to work out. You can just feel and be validated in those feelings you're having right then.
Right. So your perspective is validating the feelings, because it's okay to not be okay sometimes. But is there like a piece, I know there's not a piece in the book, but is there kind of like that is therapeutic to one day get to hope?
Yes. Yeah. So like I said, it's a resiliency arc. So like it starts with the bad day. And then I have this whole, and I'm not writing about it yet. So I haven't, Then I have a thing the next day. I'm going to do a series on the next day. So you have the bad day and you feel it and you own it. And then that next day, you're like, okay, what can I do today to help bring back some normalcy? And like you were telling me, or like you had asked me earlier about, what practices do you do to kind of ground yourself? And so maybe for you, wake up, okay, it's the next day. How can I make this normal again? Maybe you get up and you brush your teeth and you brush your hair and you walk outside.
Yeah.
What are the simple things you can put back into your life? And I think it's funny because as I was going through kind of the initial post-acute care, and all that, I mean, it reminded me a lot of what they call the fourth trimester. After you've had the baby and you're kind of in that maternity leave phase where you're like, okay, did I bathe today? I can't, maybe,
like brain, yeah.
So it's about, so the next stage is really about the, what it is what are the simple things you can do to start helping you feel grounded again?
Right.
Then you start feeling a little human as you do that. The next stage that I have in my resiliency arc, I always feel funny about talking about this because I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, and there's no one officially who endorses this, but this is what I think. But then there's the hard season. So it's a season where you're like, okay, wow, yeah, that really happened. Yes, I'm starting to put one foot in front of the other. I'm starting to remember that brushing my teeth helps, that writing every day helps, those sort of things. And that's when you start really building and holding on to those practices that are grounding you and making you resilient, which leads to the next phase that I call resilient practices. And that's when you integrate the stuff in your life that reminds you that, yes, this happened, but you are still a contributing part of this world and this ecosystem.
Yes.
And from there, I go into the blooming. Then you can start to bloom again, and then you bloom anyway.
Oh, okay. So it's a whole framework. It's a whole scaffolding system. So, I'm listening to you and I do hear you say you're not the expert and, you're not a psychologist, which important thing to say. But for me, that you have a scaffolding system, it's from your own experiences. And that is what people want, right? We don't always want a psychiatrist. I know, I don't want to interview a psychiatrist about this. I want to interview a real woman who has faced real challenges. And that's what embodiment is about to me. You are embodying your authentic self because you're making moves that makes an impact, but it's also true to yourself. You even said you put away what was the normal narrative of the rainbows and sunshines to say what was real to you. And if that's coming from, your soul, that could be still your soul purpose. So I did want to point that out that, it is important what you're saying. We don't need an expert. Most of us don't want an expert. We want a real woman with something that can give us a true story, right? So I think it's very interesting how it makes me think of what is hope for different people, right? My version of hope or my idea, if somebody was to ask me, what is your hope for the next 6 months? Would look a lot different from someone going through a certain situation such as yourself. So I think that's an important message to look at overall. Is what is hope for each person? Because sometimes we can look at, maybe I can't do these things, and then look at it, okay, what are the things that I can do in this time? Because I know other people who are dealing with depression or anxiety, their hope sometimes might be just, getting up and taking care of themselves that day. So going off of that thought that, it's giving me, how do you feel about that? Is that resonating with you and your story?
100%. I mean, yeah, I mean, I've had to reframe what hope is to me,
Right.
or what goals are to me. Like, I was very driven, very achievement driven, very goal oriented, very timelined, like, and I have to look at progress each and every day. Like,
Right.
and I have to accept the good days and I have to accept the bad days. And I also have to accept things I could do yesterday, I may not be able to do today, because every day your brain's different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny that we're having this conversation this week because actually had a really bad week this week. On Wednesday, my children woke up early for the first time, or woke up early before school. Like, they woke up at 5 a.m. And the day before, on Tuesday, I had actually learned about this really awesome opportunity. And I was like, okay, but the application was due the next day. So I went to my friend who's helping me kind of with the business stuff that I can't do. And I was like, can we get this application done? And she's like, well, yeah, I've got a couple hours, but I spent like 4 hours working on it, which is way too much. And my head was killing me, but I thought, no, I'll be able to reset if I take a break. If I, have a good night's sleep tonight, get up in the morning. Well, my kids woke up at 5 and I didn't get to have my morning routine, which is very important with brain injury. And my nerve system was just shot. I had just I had the worst nervous system flare that I've had probably in 3 or 4 months since it really kind of got to a pretty calm baseline. Luckily, I had physical therapy that day. But I had to send my kids upstairs so I could get their get their lunches packed. I was like, I just can't. I mean, it was just too much. I can't, my ears, both ears got really clogged. I mean, I felt like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what happened after the accident. And oh my gosh, I'm back. And I wasn't able to do everything that Wednesday that I wanted to do. And I had to completely reset my muscle or my things. And so some of the goals I had for the week were out the window. But the thing I can celebrate is the fact that by Friday, my nervous system had calmed down again. And I was kind of back to baseline. I missed some things that I didn't want to miss. Wasn't able to go to the fall festival with my kids and had to rest more and that sort of stuff. But it was like I had the skills and knew how to cope with what was happening. And it's funny, I just actually wrote a blog post because the partner that I'm working with was like, okay, I think we're ready to kind of launch this business, or at least tell the world what we're going to try to do. And so I wrote how do you start a business with a brain injury? I was like, you don't, but you do with support. And honestly, it's the only way. I mean, 2 weeks ago, my cognitive therapist said work is completely off the table for now. But the thing about with my own business is I can have a really good 3 or 4 days and be shooting off emails and having calls, and then sometimes I have to take a week or 2 weeks off, and that's okay. And so I just have to really focus on the present, which is really hard for me. I will say, but I'm also finding some joy and peace in that as well. Finally,
Right.
After a year, because kind of for a year, we kind of lived our lives for a year as you're going to be better, and I'm going to be better, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be able to do everything I used to do. And when that didn't happen, and I really started to accept that. I would say this, when that didn't happen, and I really mourned that over the summer, and then accepted it. I'm finding new meaning and acceptance in life.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I love that you're showing your strengths through that acceptance, through your mindset. And I know you said maybe don't tell you everything positive, but part of me is going to be here celebrating you, because that is something to be very proud of. So how can people help you right now? Tell us what is your organization? How can people help you get to your intentions that you want to do?
they can subscribe to my Substack, which is
Okay.
Resilient Magnolias. It is free for everyone. You can subscribe and pay, and that would be great if you did, because we were still one income. And actually, my husband is underemployed when he was able to go back to work. Hopeful he's going to get employed at level. So paid is an option, but I want, because I feel so strongly that the world needs this, and that a lot of the people who need to read what I'm writing probably can't afford it, even $5 a month, or $8 a month, or whatever Substack says. Like, I have committed, and I have told my partners that my writing will always be free on the Substack.
Okay.
Like, I want resources and that sort of stuff to be free. So that's the first thing to do. The second thing is, because my partner also said, if you're going to start telling this message, you got to have ways for people to support you. And we're not quite to a point where I have enough budget and stuff to know what type of Kickstarter because we're like, maybe we'll do a Kickstarter. So we set up a Buy Me Coffee account where people can go to my website and click on support the work. And it's like they can agree to give $5 a month or whatever to kind of help us keep going on this work. And what I've committed to doing is anything that's on the Buy Me Coffee page, we're putting into a separate account, that when we decide on a publisher, we have the capital there to get stuff published. So following those two things, I have an Instagram that is called Reclaiming My Brain, which is more personal about how what I'm doing to help reclaim my brain. And one of the things I'm doing, I'm taking a ballet class, because ballet actually uses the same brain that you use in cooking.
Yeah.
Like physical and mental and sequential and that sort of stuff. I'm really bad at it, and I'm really out of shape. But I put on my little black leotard and pink tights, and so sometimes you get to see that.
Yeah, people would love to see that journey.
Yeah. So, so that's the thing right now. And then, if I am open to speaking opportunities, if anybody, and I've got some stuff on my website about that. So, speaking opportunities is something that I'm kind of dipping my toe back into. Obviously I was a minister, so I preached regularly, but I've done it 3 times since, the accident over the summer. And like, I did have one that it was like, oh, I'm not having a great day. You know what I did? I showed up in my comfy clothes. And I sat down instead of, standing up and having the big, wasn't necessarily as animated as I am in this conversation. And it turned out to be really cool and authentic, because it was the message was still there. I had to use notes, which I don't normally do. But it was reality. So, I would love for people to kind of follow along on the journey. I also have, I had the stack, which is about the resiliency writing, but on the blog, on the website, I'm having a founder's blog where I'm talking about how I have no business starting a business, but here we're going to try it. And I'm going to share the ups and downs. And there's some exciting things happening. I've reached out to some people that I knew with businesses, and then also some people that I would love to be partners with. And everyone has said yes so far. So I already have 4 partners who want to help create products and stuff.
Okay. So you're embodying the resiliency, you're embodying authenticity, and you're embodying a purpose, right? Okay. I just want to point out that I was asking personally, how can we help you? Eleanor was not like trying to ask for money or anything like that. And is there anything else important that you feel like is very important to get your story out, to get your message out? Anything uplifting or otherwise that you would like to share with just women in general?
I think for women in general, the other thing is you don't have to do it all, even if you can. I wish that this is actually a funny story. Prior to the accident, my husband was in graduate school. He'd just gone back to graduate school. And while he was in graduate school, I became a Fair Play facilitator. And Fair Play is a book about, and it literally has a deck of cards of everything it takes to run a household. And you start with, and when you implement the Fair Play system in your household, like you deal the cards on who takes care of what. And for the most part, I'm sure there are exceptions. When you do that, the women are holding like 70 of the 80 cards.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And when I first learned about it, so I became a facilitator, and part of the facilitation, part of it is too, when you start handing over cards, you're going to say, okay, I'm holding all this, so you're going to take over dishes. And you sit down with your partner and you say, okay, if you're going to handle dishes, this is what you have to do. You have to make sure the dishwasher's emptied by 7 a.m. every morning. You have to make sure the sink, you set up with what's called a minimum standard of care. And, but my husband was in graduate school at the time. And so I was like, okay, we can't really do fair play in our house because he's studying and in class 3 days a week. And, but I wish we would have started then. I wish, and I wish, honestly, I wish we would have started when we got married or when we were dating. And it's not that I was doing things because I wanted to do them. Like I want to be the one who cooks. I want to be the one who buys the birthday presents and deals with Christmas. And, like we want those things as women, but we can't, it's too much. And what I have discovered through this, as I've been forced to let go of things, is, so the writer of, and I can't remember her name, this is part of the brain injury, of that book also wrote, her second book was called The Unicorn Space, because it's like when you give away those things, you can find your unicorn space, that stuff that makes you happy. And what I have found is through this experience where I'm the one who, I can't do laundry. And so, I don't have laundry anymore. And that's how I started writing, was because all of these things that were taking up, my time that I felt like I was being a good wife and mother and stuff, it was really holding me back from doing something that it turns out I'm pretty good at and have.
Right.
So that would be my thing, is even if you're not facing anything that's horrible or hard, or even if you still can do it all, don't.
Because every day,
until you let go, until you are in a place where you're not doing it all, you have no idea what it could be opened up. And I think, and I've thought several times, man, if I had stopped doing so much before the accident and I had a full brain, imagine what I might have been able to do. So yeah, that would be my biggest thing. And but it's funny, I say that and I think, oh my God, if someone had said that to me 2 years ago, I'd have been like, whatever, like I can do all this. And because I thought and I was happy. I don't want to but it was like, cause I would, I would do things that, I'd have girls' nights and I would, like do crafty stuff and all that. But it was like, but I really wasn't able to deeply commit myself to something that brought me
joy,
just joy, just complete joy. As much as I had things that I enjoyed doing that were part of my life, like it's just a different thing. It's just a different feeling now when I'm able to really sit and spend time crafting words.
Wow. That's like a special kind of freedom that you gain unexpectedly, because that is true that a lot of women, we do things from pressure or expectation, or because of a thought was put in our head that we have to contribute, and this is our way to contribute. So I love this thought of like this era of almost like throwing the cards out. Like the cards that you were talking about is kind of like, hey, let's throw the cards out for a little while and focus on our creativity, focus on something that is like aligned with purpose, which of course those things can still send purpose. But I love the idea of just being like, let's just wait, stop for a little while and put those things on the side, because in the grand scheme of things, even in the average woman's life, if the laundry doesn't get done, if the kitchen counter doesn't get wiped down, it's like, it's not the end, right? Like, it's kind of like we need to be kind to ourselves. And, from me to you, I hope that you are being kind to yourself as well when you do get into those moments. Just remember to be kind to your own body and, your own spirit. So I'm going to post all of the links that you have onto this podcast so that people can follow you. I love the idea of like following your journey in your Substack. And I think you are a very courageous woman in your own way. So I hope that you every day, even in the bad days, that you spoke about, that you keep hold to like that strength and that purpose that you were putting out there.
I'm trying. And I say every day, I've got 3 reasons that wake me up every morning, and I kiss on the head the night that to keep moving forward and finding the beauty and the strength, and even in the hard stuff.
Okay, well, just keep us updated. We're going to be following your journey. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
So there you have it. Did you find this conversation as insightful as I did? I really loved Eleanor's honesty and how she highlights just the thought of seeing things in a different way, coping with it, surviving, and still holding on to hope. All of these things interweaved into the true human experience. I'm going to drop her links to this episode so that you can follow her journey. Until then, keep building your best life, because I know if I can do it, you can do it too. And thank you for taking this journey with me. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Embodied Revolution show. I'm so grateful that you're here, and I hope today's conversation really inspired you to step deeper into your own highest embodiment. If you loved what you heard, please take a moment to like, share, and follow. It's the best way to stay connected and be the first to know when new episodes drop. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep living from your soul's purpose.